Yo, what's up, fam? Welcome back to another deep dive. Because today we're stepping straight into some heavy Baton Rouge tension that honestly might catch you off guard. Listen to this. Remember when NBA YoungBoy dropped that song Nussie and the whole Louisiana scene instantly went into a frenzy? Alright, let's slow it down and really break this apart. Because this goes way beyond music. This is about years of built-up pressure, real street foundations, and two hometown heavyweights who went from aligned to completely divided. When Yaibi said Nussie on that track, make no mistake, that wasn't accidental. That line reopened scars people assumed were already healed. And that bar hit Boosie especially hard because in his mind, that chapter was already sealed shut. We're talking about a situation so serious it nearly turned Boosie's entire world upside down. The loss of a respected street figure and how Baton Rouge never felt the same afterward. This is the kind of story that shakes a whole city at its foundation. So to really understand how it got here, we've got to hit rewind. Both NBA YoungBoy and Boosie are products of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but their relationship goes much deeper than most people realize. Hold up, Baton Rouge isn't even a large city. We're talking roughly 220,000 people total. So when two major names rise from the same place, their paths are bound to collide. Boosie had the city on lockdown in the early 2000s. He was running BR long before YoungBoy ever saw a spotlight. Back then, YoungBoy was just a kid watching a neighborhood legend move, never imagining their names would one day be linked to one of Louisiana's wildest sagas. We're talking about Lil Boosie, someone who came up alongside C-Lock, dropping classics while YoungBoy was still sitting in school. But here's what people outside don't always understand about Baton Rouge. That city is split by deep, unspoken boundaries. You've got North Baton Rouge, South Baton Rouge, and sections that don't always move together. Boosie reps the south side, especially the bottom, while YoungBoy comes straight out of the north. Now, that might sound minor to outsiders, but in Baton Rouge, those lines mean everything. In street culture, where you're from can shape your entire identity. By the time YoungBoy started buzzing heavily around 2015 and 2016, Boosie was already certified as a Louisiana legend. Early on, there was nothing but mutual respect and positive energy between them. Boosie could spot real talent instantly, and YoungBoy knew how to show love to the OGs who laid the groundwork. There was no tension at the start. They were genuinely cool and even showed respect publicly. But then the energy shifted, and it didn't take long. The first signs weren't loud arguments or public beef. It was something deeper, respect and how situations were supposed to be handled. YoungBoy's rise happened faster than anyone expected. His YouTube numbers exploded, the streets backed him, and labels were lining up non-stop. But success brought noticeable changes. Whispers started circulating that YoungBoy wasn't showing the same respect to the legends who came before him. Boosie started feeling away when YoungBoy stopped clearing records and the Louisiana Brotherhood didn't feel the same anymore. In an interview, Boosie tried to explain his side. He said, "Man, I cleared everything and showed love to all artists. I rock with freedom, but I don't know what happened with Top. I just don't know what happened." What Boosie was really saying was that he'd always gone out of his way to help Louisiana artists, clearing samples, offering support, and making sure their music could actually be heard. But when it came to YoungBoy, the energy clearly shifted. Maybe it was label politics, maybe it became personal. Either way, that respect wasn't coming back, and Boosie felt it. That's when the pressure started stacking up. Suddenly, subtle lines and indirect shots began slipping into records and interviews. Boosie felt like the respect had vanished. And listen, when a Louisiana legend feels disrespected, things can spiral quickly. The city slowly split straight down the middle. You were either rocking with Boosie or backing YoungBoy, and that divide had Baton Rouge buzzing non-stop with arguments and speculation. When things finally boiled over, Boosie stopped biting his tongue. He made it clear he felt YoungBoy was crossing lines and skipping the respect step. From Boosie's view, he had spent years grinding for Louisiana hip-hop, opening doors, building platforms, and laying the foundation, only to feel unappreciated by the next generation. From there, the tension jumped from quiet talk to open-air shots. Fans started catching lyrics from YoungBoy that felt way too direct to ignore, and Boosie wasn't staying silent either. Online, fans were glued to the drama, but in the streets, the atmosphere was getting heavier. Boosie's message was simple. The young star needed to respect the ones who built the road first. He felt YoungBoy was moving recklessly and needed to slow down. But here's the part that left everybody stunned. For a brief moment, it really looked like peace had finally arrived. We're talking about a legendary phone call. Kevin Gates, Fredo Bang, Boosie, and YoungBoy all on the same line at the same time. This wasn't some casual check-in. This was Louisiana royalty linking up to finally cool everything down. Boosie later spoke about that moment with real emotion. He said it completely caught him off guard. He was already talking about the YoungBoy situation when Gates joined the call, then Fredo jumped in, and suddenly it turned into something powerful. That call came right after Boosie accepted a plea deal in his federal case, a moment when pressure was crushing him from every angle. Legal stress, family issues, everything hitting at once. And that one conversation landed exactly when he needed it most. "I really needed that phone call," Boosie admitted. You could hear how much it meant to him. It felt like a bright spot in one of the darkest chapters of his life. Everyone on that call had history, differences, egos, but for once, it was all mutual respect. For a while after that, the energy actually cooled off. Boosie said once people got back to focusing on their grind, he wasn't the type to hold on to hate. It was a rare moment of unity in Louisiana hip-hop, proof that respect can still break through pride and history. But just when it looked like everything was solid, the tension quietly crept back in. YoungBoy dropped a few tracks that immediately had fans talking. Some people felt there were sneak disses aimed at Boosie. Others said it was just music. Either way, the internet did what it always does. Rumors spread fast, clips went viral, lyrics got dissected line by line. Boosie wasn't feeling that narrative at all. He went online and made it clear. He wasn't looking for beef, but he also wasn't letting anyone play with his name. "I don't have a problem with that, man," he said, "but I stand on respect. Always have, always will." Even without direct shots, you could feel the tension sitting under the surface. Fans picked sides. Team Boosie, Team YB. Every post, every lyric, every move was treated like a hidden message. At the same time, both artists stayed locked into their own lanes. YoungBoy kept dropping project after project, proving he didn't need constant appearances to stay dominant. Boosie stayed outside, doing shows, staying connected to the people, reminding everyone he's been in Louisiana since day one. The respect was still there, just buried under pride and shared history. For a moment, it really felt like Louisiana was healing. Boosie even talked about the possibility of doing a full project with YoungBoy, and fans lost their minds. The city buzzed. It felt like the past was finally behind them. And Kevin Gates likely played a huge role in making that peace happen. He's always been the mediator, trying to keep everyone aligned. Fredo Bang, too. He's Boosie's cousin, and he wanted to see both his family and his city move forward. But here's the part most people overlook. Boosie's son, Tootie Raw, is actually one of NBA YoungBoy's biggest fans. No exaggeration, he plays YoungBoy's music non-stop. Imagine being Boosie and your own child asks, "Why are you beefing with my favorite rapper?" That hits different. Tootie Raw may have been the reminder Boosie needed about peace, legacy, and setting the right example. He represents the new generation of Louisiana. Kids who want unity, good energy, and great music without old baggage. That's when it becomes bigger than ego. It becomes about culture. Now YoungBoy brings a different kind of energy. His music comes from real trauma, real pain. Nothing about it is fiction. And Boosie understands that. He's fought his own battles, beaten major cases, and rebuilt his name the hard way. At this stage, pointless drama isn't worth the risk. Boosie is a father, a businessman, a certified Louisiana legend. YoungBoy is still young, hungry, and fearless. Boosie likely sees a younger version of himself in YB, and he doesn't want to see that potential wasted. But then everything shifted again. YoungBoy dropped a song called Nussie, and when that record hit, both the internet and the streets exploded. Because Nussie isn't just a name, It refers to a real Baton Rouge figure killed back in 2009, a case that once nearly destroyed Boosie's life. The timing felt off, especially coming weeks after that peacemaking phone call. Christopher Jackson, known as Nussie or Mr. Badass, was a major name in early 2000s Baton Rouge. He was respected, business-minded, connected. When he was found shot at his home on America Street, the city was shaken, and almost immediately, Boosie's name was pulled into the conversation. Prosecutors accused him of orchestrating everything, painting him as a kingpin pulling strings behind the scenes. The case was massive. Boosie was facing the most serious consequences imaginable, and it all hinged on one man, Michael Marlowe Louding. At first, Marlowe Mike agreed to cooperate. He even said he'd testify, but then things stopped adding up. One detail shocked everyone. Marlowe Mike had a tattoo stretched across his stomach that read Boosie. All right, let's pick up right where it left off. That one line, "Who's next?" only poured gasoline on the fire. At first, prosecutors were confident they had the case locked. On paper, everything looked airtight. Witness statements, physical evidence, a clean narrative that supposedly tied Boosie directly to the crime. But the moment the trial actually began, everything changed. When Marlowe Mike took the stand, he completely flipped his story. Under oath, he admitted he lied. He said Boosie never ordered him to do anything. That single moment shattered the entire case. Once his testimony unraveled, the prosecution's argument collapsed fast. Piece by piece, their story fell apart in real time. And eventually, Boosie was found not guilty on all major charges. Legally, it was a massive win. But in the streets, the whispers never stopped. The damage had already been done. Nussie's name stayed permanently linked to Boosie in public perception. Even after the acquittal, people kept debating what really happened that night. In reality, the only real connection prosecutors ever had was Marlowe Mike's original statement. They tried to paint Boosie as a street mastermind, a man allegedly using younger guys to handle violent business. Federal prosecutors claimed they had phone records, witnesses, and inside info. They even labeled him the brains behind multiple violent acts. But once Marlowe Mike recanted, that entire narrative collapsed instantly. He told the court he lied to investigators to try to reduce his own sentence, and he made it clear Boosie had nothing to do with it. Without that testimony, the prosecution had nothing left. Just like that, Boosie walked free. But freedom didn't erase the scars. In the minds of many, Boosie and the Nussie case were forever connected. So when NBA YoungBoy dropped a song called Nussie, it hit different. For Boosie, this wasn't just music, it reopened one of the darkest chapters of his life, a time when his freedom, career, and name were all on the line. As soon as the track dropped, hip-hop lit up again. Blogs, YouTube channels, fan pages, everyone had an opinion. Some said YoungBoy was honoring a Baton Rouge legend. Others were convinced it was a direct shot at Boosie. Either way, the city was buzzing. Boosie was clearly caught off guard. He didn't rage, he didn't fire back, but you could tell the song didn't sit right with him. That name wasn't just history, it symbolized the hardest fight of his entire life. And hearing it resurface, especially from someone he had just made peace with, cut deep. Fans are split right down the middle. Was it a coincidence or a message without saying it out loud? Baton Rouge couldn't stop talking. Boosie stayed composed. Instead of clapping back online or through diss records, he chose maturity. He focused on business, on family, on community. That silence spoke louder than any response ever could. Meanwhile, YoungBoy kept moving exactly how he always does, locked into his own world, dropping music nonstop, letting numbers speak for him. Love him or hate him, his impact is undeniable. When YoungBoy drops, the culture reacts, and the Nussie moment reminded everyone of one truth. No matter how far you go, the past is never far behind, especially in Baton Rouge, a city where history, loyalty, and pride live inside every lyric. When Boosie finally addressed the song, you could hear the weight in his voice. He spoke about respecting the dead, saying something like, "If we had issues when you were alive, that was between us, but I won't disrespect someone who's gone." That response showed maturity, even through pain. Still, it was clear a line had been crossed. This wasn't about clout or competition, it was about respect. That reference touched a wound Boosie spent years trying to heal, and hearing it come from someone he trusted made it hurt even more. Yet, he chose restraint. He could have dropped a diss, he could have gone viral with accusations, but he didn't. When asked if he'd talk to YoungBoy again, Boosie was firm. He said, "I don't hate him, but I don't play like that. Some things you just don't do." No anger, just disappointment. For Boosie, this wasn't about keeping a feud alive. It was about loyalty, trust, and how fragile peace really is. He truly believed Louisiana was moving towards something bigger, unity, legacy, an example for the next generation. But with one song, that progress disappeared overnight. Trust faded, collaboration died, and the vision of unity slipped away again. This situation shows how complicated pride, history, and loyalty can become, especially when two giants come from the same city. Boosie and NBA YoungBoy should be building Louisiana together, showing the world what Baton Rouge talent really looks like. Instead, unresolved emotions pulled everything backward. And the truth is, this story is probably not finished. YoungBoy is still young, fearless, and sharp with his words, sometimes without realizing how deep they cut. Boosie is a seasoned vet, a survivor, a man who doesn't let his name get played with, even while moving with wisdom. Something tells me there are more chapters ahead, more music, more interviews, or maybe an unexpected reunion. Only time will tell, because at the end of the day, they're both Louisiana royalty. There's room for both to shine. It's just unfortunate to see pride block what could have been legendary. Now, I want to hear from you. Was YoungBoy wrong for dropping Nussie? Or was it simply artistic expression? Did Boosie handle it the right way by staying calm? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we're going to keep breaking down Louisiana's wildest hip-hop stories. No sugarcoating, just real context.